We're going. Everybody, I want to welcome, first of all, the real delight. The first one to show up here tonight, the real delight, Ross Abdelnour. And our friend Aron Stevens.
Hello.
NWA Tag Team Champion.
Oh, yeah, that's about that.
Former Wham heel.
No, actually, you know what? Oh, my one stint, I was a face. I did one move in the history of Wham.
And I will never forget that for the rest of my life. The leg scissor.
Yes.
I was on the ring skirt for that. I was not in yet.
I think that was the biggest pop in Wham history.
Big O had the big pop. When he chokeslammed Bobby, I tried to get him here tonight. He'll be here in a little while, but the Big O chokeslamming Bobby off the podium there was pretty big.
Is this show live?
Yes, we're live right now.
Okay. All right, Stell, wait a minute.
Hey, wait, bring the dog on. You show it.
You know what? What? No, wait. You know what? She has to go take a pee. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go walk Stella on the show.
Yes, we will. I need to see what kind of dog.
Oh, hang on, Stella. Good girl. Good girl. There you go. Wait.
Oh,
there she is.
Beautiful. German Shepherd mix.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Rescue.
Hang on.
Gorgeous.
Yes, we're gonna go outside and go pee. And Aron has okay. All right. Here we go.
We're good. So you're on the walk. So Ross, how you been, man?
I'm good.
Thank you. You know what? Should I go put headphones in? No, I can hear you guys. Yeah, you know, I'm going to put headphones on because I want to ensure the best quality. I'm sorry it's a little chaotic. Honestly, Stella has been quiet all day. And, of course, now she's... Hang on. Hang on one second. Sorry, I'm apologizing.
Yeah, this is the stuff you get when you go up. When you get to wrestle in WWE, you get high-handed.
No, Stella. I'm going to go in the car.
Ross, if I didn't have the real delight to back this up, then I'd be worried. But you know what?
We're not going to the car still. Oh my God, still.
I'll take over. Things have been good. I can't complain. Good. You know, it's for us, it's probably been like 20-ish years, right? About 20 years since we've seen each other.
For the days of Facebook and internet, I couldn't actually tell you, but I feel like, it's been that long. I feel like the last time I saw you was in the ring. Honestly,
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
At the Palladium, brother. At the Palladium.
That was if I recall correctly, that was the last Palladium show we did.
Absolutely.
And I know there was one
sorry, gentlemen.
Me and Aron did together at Holy Name. Bobby, I got a last minute phone call from Bobby, and he said, "Come in." And so me and Aron showed up, and we did. I believe we did guest announcers. Do you remember that, Aron?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do.
Right? Which one?
Mentor, Mr. Reynolds.
That was the guy?
Yep.
Oh my God, Mr. Reynolds.
That was that Holy Name.
So I'm older than you guys. Yeah. Mr. Reynolds, his first year, I was the first person ever ejected out of his class. The first year he was ever.
Wow.
Yes, it happened. It happened. I'm proud of it now. I wasn't then. Okay, maybe vice versa, but
what year were you, Mike? 98 or 97?
I was supposed to be 97, but I got there in 94. I got thrown out, sleeping on a Saturday detention for having the wrong shoes, too many demerits. Dickie Maynard, R.I.P. But that's the truth. Father Madden, that is the God's honest truth. But I loved everybody at the school. I just didn't like, the government of it. I'm still not, whatever, but it was.
Yeah, it was an interesting establishment for sure. And
it's going to have to be a different episode to actually explore all of that. We're going to keep it to wrestling, but man, I'll tell you that school is not for me, only because it's not for everybody. I went to public school like Bobby, and I'll tell you one thing, I ended up in the same orientation on freshman day with at Anna Maria College with all the same people that paid all the money to go to Holy Name. and I went to South. You know, my dad never made more than a journeyman's wage, but I got there. You know, but
You know, at the end of the day, it's funny. You know what I mean? Like they say, "Oh, school this and that." I'm a big believer in the individual.
yes,
You know, it's really a lot. I mean, now granted, if certain luxuries like better schools or whatever, or afford them. Yes, if you can go to Stanford, that's a huge deal, right?
right.
But like it's what is the individual, like how hard is the individual going to work? How hard is like he going to go to like learn what he has to in his chosen profession
Also,
to advance
who's
his career?
creative?
So
You know, it's like I said, I got there with different tools than the kids at Holy Name handed or whatever, but it's not. It's just it was my thing. You know, nothing against them, nothing against the whole thing, but I tried to explain to my parents too. It was not like I made friends 2-3 different times in the city. I was tired of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you're comfortable with your people, and I think that's when you do well. You know, and the people you're with, and I'll never forget. Look at it. Ross, 20 years ago, I'll never forget. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, we've been friends for what? Probably 25-ish years, right? Roughly, give or take a few.
Where did you guys, you guys grow up in the same neighborhood, or like where did it start?
Yeah, so we go back to actually preschool.
Yeah.
And how did Billy fit into this?
So Billy's a year older than me, and I mean, growing up along Grafton Hill, various parts of Grafton Hill, we had Aaron. Actually, Aaron. I don't know if we can throw this out to the public. He's technically we're what, third or fourth cousins, I think.
Yeah. Yes. It's funny, and like we learned that after we were
friends.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went preschool. Then we went to grammar school, K through 6. Then we went to middle school together, and then Holy Name, and then Worcester State. And then he left me for WWE.
Yeah.
And I stayed. And
thanks, Aaron.
You know what? I actually was. I've talked about Ross quite a bit in several interviews I've done. You know what? We're just gonna have to do this out here because Stella is.
It's fine.
All day.
We're pet friendly. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, like we've been friends again since I can remember. Like there was never a time where I didn't know Ross, as far as I go. But the whole thing was just that there's very few people I've actually kept in contact with, and like I have very few friends from back home, and it's awesome because Ross is one of them.
Yeah, we've we kept in touch, throughout everything.
Yeah.
He, I don't want to speak for his career, but he went down to developmental. You were in Ohio Valley, right, Aaron, when you first left?
Yes, Lou. I went from Massachusetts. I drove from North Oxford to Louisville.
I'm in Webster right now, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What hill are you from?
I'm Worcester born and raised, brother. Worcester, Shrewsbury Street to Main South through Holy Name. I've been every school in the city. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm 4 years above you, but I actually, the Abdelnour family, I grew up with Billy. And me and Billy were in the Peak program together, and his dad was our teacher. So,
which shows you how Billy got in.
Yeah,
they were letting him in the Peak
thank
program.
You. Politics, baby. So his dad, Sir Abdelnour, was how I refer to him when I was, I think, 10. He taught the Peak class at the Worcester Science Center, and Billy was the one kid who sunk our whole class because at one time he jumped over the fucking table or something, caused a ruckus. We all got in trouble, and he didn't because his dad was the. So Billy, I'm calling you out, and Weaver's calling you out. We want to know how your ribs are, wherever you are, and he wants another piece.
So I had to. So that's the South show, right? So I leave that show. Billy got hurt in the first segment, I believe.
The ribs. It's a legendary story.
Yeah, and then I had my match with. I think I was in a tag that day, and I go back to the dressing room. and Billy's in the hospital. Billy's at the hospital. So I think I did my stuff, and I told Bobby, I'm like, I gotta go check on him. I mean, he went down 2 shows. The first show he had heat exhaustion, and the second he had bruised ribs from
The
Weaver.
Caucasian dream. He's got no stamina. That's his issue. He doesn't train. He thinks he can just jump in and fucking perform, but it didn't happen. I'll tell you, one time I was out with me, him, Ryan Falvey, and Hector, and I don't know what he did, but I was the driver, and at some point, I legitimately, maybe the first wrestling move I performed in real life, I picked him up and threw him over my car to the sidewalk, and he up and laughed and got in the passenger seat. Was like, that's who really is. He's a ball bus, but great, great dude. I miss him, man. I didn't even know he was still around until a couple weeks ago. Actually, a couple months ago, I seen him on Facebook. But what's he doing? Throwing shells to horse owner race?
That's his dad.
That's
on Facebook. Yeah, that's his dad though. Billy's working for Anderson Windows as a salesman. He's doing a good job. He likes it. He lives across the street. You remember his parents' house where we used to hang out?
Yes.
So he lives across the street, basically like diagonal up the road.
Of course. Of course.
Hey, look
I'd love to see him, man. I haven't talked to him in a minute. I miss him, man. All those guys.
Yeah, he's around. I mean, I'm sure if you want to do give Billy a chance to talk. I'm sure he's gonna.
I'll give him a limited session. That's
I want to keep that.
Yep. But all good, man. So Aron, so you're currently the NWA champ.
Tag team champ. Yes.
Tag team champ. Do you have the belt right now?
I do not. I have a thing where, like, when I left wrestling completely, I was done. I don't want anything to do with it. When I was in WWE, and I was, you're a champion there. It was the best because the tag team titles are first of all, you have to travel with the belts. They are the most cumbersome, pain in the ass thing you ever want to travel with, because not only is your bag 20 pounds heavier, and like when you want to I travel light. I don't like to pack a lot, and I was pretty much living out of a suitcase for about 12 years. So I just I know how to do this, right? And I'm used to my thing. So you get a belt, and all of a sudden it's heavier, and then airports, forget it. You're going through the thing because you keep it in your carry-on bag. You don't want to lose it. The TSA wants to see it. They want pictures with it. And what are you going to do? Be like, no, you can't. And then the next thing you know, like, oh, you're getting your bag searched and stuff. So it's a pain in the butt. So when Miz were tag champions, I had the bright idea of what was called the stunt titles or the Miz titles or something, whatever. Like I had the I think they were the stunt titles. It was the toy belts. So I said, dude, I'm going to carry around the 2 toy belts. You carry around the 2 tag belts, and and he was like, oh yeah. So that was secretly so I wouldn't have a giant albatross. So fast forward to the NWA tag titles, and 2020 was insane. I was actually a show out here, and oh, sorry, left out a major chunk. So I was done with wrestling completely. I'm filming a show. I was in Hawaii. Billy Corgan calls me and is like, I've purchased the NWA and we're starting up a TV show again. I go, congratulations. And, we got, we're friendly with it. But then Lagana, who was working for him at the time, called me and was like, yeah, you already have a plane ticket. And I was like, what? So I said, fine. Went there. And it was really cool, man. When I walked in, I flew in a day early, and like I saw the whole setup and everything, and I went, oh wow, this is what wrestling, like this is the kind of wrestling I grew up on. This was like, this is truly like NWA with, you remember Flair and the Horsemen and Dusty and all that. And I kind of was like, all right, this is cool. And then so one thing led to another, and I just kind of stayed with them. But 2020 was insane, and there was a bunch of like shifts within the company and everything else like that, and there was that whole COVID thing, but I don't know much about it. So going on,
hold on, you can't just skate by a Hulk Hogan thing here. I mean, I get it, but God.
Yeah. So no, that was it was interesting, right? So all of a sudden now he's like, I need you to win the tag titles because there's just some movement within the company, and I need to just put them on. All right, fine.
Hold on one sec, Aaron. Let me cut you off too, because I'm gonna brag for him. So pre-COVID, right? When he's in Hawaii, he's on Magnum PI, the reboot, and has a 2-part arc, right? The Halloween episode.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
the year
Yep.
before that, he's on an NBC show called Midnight Texas. So he's when he said out of wrestling, but he's fully into acting with gigs. So, you know, when I just wanted to put that in there because he doesn't brag, but I like to brag for him because I don't have anything to brag about my life. So I piggyback off of him.
Ross. Well, look, we're gonna get to you after, Ross. But I get it, man. So what do you think about what is it, the AEW? Is that what's out now?
Oh yeah.
They're getting huge reviews right now. I mean, it's not a
Yeah.
pop.
It is. It's very, very cool. And you know what? I've always been rooting for him because I think a good alternative, you know, is just so needed.
Oh,
and
no.
And
it's
what's that?
The idea of monopolization. You need.
Yeah. And you know, again, it's like pro wrestling has always evolved, and it's, you know, the product today is certainly not what the product was in the 70s. The product in the 70s wasn't what it was in the 80s, and so on. But I do think that, and like, the public is not connecting with the product, and that's the main gripe I had, because I was just, when I go out there, I have to just I work for the people, right? I listen to them and they give me the feedback, right? Because that's how the business works. Because the more popular you are, the more money you make, right? That's just it's always been. Well, you know, with a monopoly, they can kind of pick and choose a little bit, to a degree, or actually I say a little bit, no, actually a lot, to who they want to push. And now, like, from a rating standpoint, I think the public has kind of spoken, because there was no reason in 20, when there was a complete original programming, ratings were so low. You know, I honestly thought, I'm like, hey, maybe this will boom again. But you know, you just need characters. You need to care about the people in the ring, not care about, like, oh, they're gonna go and put themselves through a flaming table or whatever. And I don't have anything against that. I mean, I've done it a couple times, but you know, you just need to know who you're watching, I guess. And that was my whole thing. That's why I ended up leaving. I just couldn't, like, I couldn't play their game, you know?
Well, I'll tell you, I started really doing research. I've seen a couple of your masters, but I got out of wrestling when it got, you know, fucking watered down, man. I'm old school.
Yeah.
I'm an older dude, but I give you credit because one of the last interviews that I watched, they were talking about you just giving you, see you later, you know, like you were talking about.
What's that?
You were talking about you realizing that, you know, funny ain't money. Or you were at the spot where, you know, I feel like you thought that you plateaued.
From a creative standpoint, like, they would not see me as anything other than, like, what I was the last year. And it was just like, well, you know what? I can't do that. Like, I can go be entertaining anywhere, and I can go do the, you know, 3-segment match on live TV, which I've done, you know, more than once.
Yeah.
And again, it's their sandbox, and you have to realize, like, what you're playing in. And so I wasn't going to be bitter or anything, but I also, like, I wasn't happy. And I mean, actually, wrestling has been very, very good to me. But at the same time, like, what is a paycheck? You know, like, you need money to live, but, like, I'm not going to become, you know, just a slave to a paycheck. So while I had the means, I said, all right, I'm going to try acting. I'm just going to kind of walk away from wrestling a little bit. And it wasn't necessarily for me on the best terms. And Ross can attest to this. You know, growing up, I didn't hang out that much.
Yeah.
Like, I was always kind of doing my own thing. And and it was because like of wrestling, right? I was training and doing all kinds of stuff, and I mean, I would hang out a little bit, but like my high school was always just like preparing me for my career. You know, look, still, we're not going in the car, hun.
Yeah, when we
All right,
were,
come on.
because
Let's go in the car. Sorry.
Aaron, I could be wrong about this, but weren't you at one point, well, you were the youngest student at Killer Kowalski?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, which
Yeah,
is the
I
heart
finagled
of-
my way in there at 16. I convinced him.
I remember, man. I remember. I definitely remember those days. I'll tell you, when I watched that interview, I'll tell you, this podcast has been straight worth the rhythm.
Yeah, which interview was it? Which interview was it?
I don't know the dude's name, but he looked a little bit like Ross, like a
Van Leavitt, I think, Aaron.
the one I
Oh,
said.
okay, yes, yeah, that was a couple years ago, yeah.
I watched that one and it was 2019.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think right before you, or maybe just as you were up. But the one thing that impressed me was that you said you knew you were worth more than where you were at right there, you know?
Yeah, it's just,
and not just wrestling, just, you know, as your life, your career, what you're worth.
Well, yeah,
that's awesome, man, because I've gotten up and walked away from things like that, and I hold pride on that. And I really do. I think you said you asked for your release.
yeah, well, what happened was after the Dallas Stadium for WrestleMania, or no, I'm sorry, AT&T Stadium in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I was told to go out there and not show personality, specifically in what I was doing on the show. And it was a spot with Big Show and Shaq. And I was just like, you know what? Nah. So I went out there and I just did the thing. You know, I went and kind of like looked at the crowd for the 2 seconds. And then, you know, I had been off TV for several months because like I was on the road full time. And I would go to TV and they wouldn't put me on like a dark match because the crowd would chant my name throughout the night on TV.
Yeah.
So they would like, it was a weird spot. And I was like, you know, I wasn't going to go kiss Vince's rear end because like, I just not who I am, you know? And the people there, you know, a lot of people there, they've known me since I was 19. And like, I don't have to kind of prove myself or anything to anybody. So I was just kind of at a point where like there is nothing more I can do. Like I have been the #1 selling heel t-shirt in the company. I've like just everything you've ever asked me to do, like the numbers, because I was big on that. I was big on like when I'm on TV, how are the ratings? When I'm like, how are my t-shirts doing? How are my action figures doing? How like I stay on top of that. And, you know, I just couldn't like justify like putting everything I have in and saying, okay, this is it. Like, this is going to be it. So that's why I was just, nah, you know, I can't do it. I couldn't just be content. And maybe, you know, some people are like, oh my God, to walk away from all that, you shouldn't. No.
I could not respect that enough, man. I could not. Honestly, that future's in front of you. Most people would be like, all right, I'll do anything I can. I'll lay down or whatever, but I give you so much respect.
Oh, thank you.
You knew you were worth more than that. And you are. You're 100%. Look where you are right now. I think it's awesome, man.
Oh,
you
thanks,
know what?
Yeah. I have a dog.
I mean, you know, the thing too, Aaron, that a lot of people, I don't know how well outside of the wrestling industry they know this, but so he actually, when you got, and I remember you calling me in 07 when you were doing the Idol Stevens thing.
Oh yeah.
The tag team, and then you got released and you took a big gamble on yourself because he could have stayed in the indies, made a pretty good living, just working the territories. And you went to Puerto Rico and with the top heel in Puerto Rico.
That was that was I tell you, that was crazy, right? Like and I think you and I might have even said this, Russ, before. It's just so weird how like and please let what you guys think of this too, like if this is the same in your life, but it's almost like life is it's chapters and then there's acts, right? So like I had like in wrestling, I had so many different chapters from Kowalski's to like OVW, Puerto Rico, and then Florida, and then, you know, back in WWE. And it just like, And when I walked away, it was like, okay, now this is act 2. So it was such a major shift. And I kind of think that's good, because to me, like, I'm just not the kind of person that can just do the same thing every day, you know? And like, I never saw myself living in California, let alone where I am now. Like it's
Mel.
well, yeah, it's just weird, right? It's just like, no, I'm not like, and I never had, here's the thing, I never had a desire to either. Like, Louisville's my city. I mean, I tell you what, Louisville, Scottsburg, like that whole area, I fell in love with. But you know, with the career choice I have to be out here. So that's kind of the way it is. And there could be worse places to be. So, yeah.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
Maybe back home, brother. Maybe back home. You never know. When Wham kicks off, we need.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, I can still do head scissors at the pay-per-view on the 6th.
We only need one. We need one. Yeah, that's all you did was one, and that's all we need. One more.
The head scissors heard around the world.
Oh my God. Unreal.
After hell, wherever we were.
What was that? That was Yamari? Was it, or what's the C?
That was the Armory. Yeah.
Yamari, yeah. Amazing.
So when we let me think. I became friends with Bobby right around like 90, 98-ish, 97. So Megan, his wife, was a good friend.
Yeah.
And through Megan, I became friends with Bobby, and he was doing the Worcester State Show. That's where you guys walked him out, right? Was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was, I told you, when you came in the ring, I was around the skirt.
Yeah.
We
So
were the lumberjacks.
So at the Worcester State Show, I call Aron and I say, you know, he's a wrestler. I'm a fan.
I was training.
Come on, Rob.
Yeah, he was training.
You're the real delight, bro. I put you on the pro.
Well, he helped me. I said to him earlier today, he taught me how to throw a punch and not hurt somebody, how to fall and not get hurt myself, and just quickly how to not hurt somebody else. Those 3 things I could do.
Ross, you were capable of all 3 fucking things. You could have hurt anybody.
So my contribution to Wham was through Aron, who gave me the silver sequins tights.
Yep, hologram.
Big patent leather boots.
Yep. Yeah, you actually had my wrestling boots on.
I did, yeah. The first pictures.
Oh,
You know what the
wrestling.
worst part is? I don't have any pictures of them. I wish I did.
I still don't believe you had those pictures. And I don't believe that Bobby had his ring entrance.
I'm convinced that Bobby has every show, top to bottom, somewhere, and he won't show them.
He said he still has the jeans, the black jeans, the virgin jeans. Yeah. Amazing. Though, look at he made that thing work though. I mean, we did a lot of shows for fundraisers. That's the best part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people benefited from all that, and to turn into something that happened in his backyard, in his garage, to send in a whole college baseball team in Florida.
That's awesome.
I mean,
that's cool.
Phenomenal. You know what I mean? And we're all 16, 17, 18. He had a following. I told him the Big O. I tried to antagonize him, but last week the Big O said, "Yeah, he had the world in a box. He could have went with it." But Bobby had kids early, and he's got 5 now, and he did his thing.
When you stop and think about it too, though, we did that Worcester State Show, I believe, in January of '99 or February of '99, right around there.
Yes.
And then it was Bobby and my cousin Billy sitting at Quincy, writing up this plan. Billy's coming to me. Billy's not a wrestling guy, but Billy is a business guy.
Yeah, Billy's the guy.
Oh, you saw
Billy's the guy.
I used to laugh. It was like sitting, listening to those two argue. It was like, and Aron would probably, has probably seen stuff like this. Billy was like new school wrestling, promotion, whatnot. And Bobby was like old South NWA, the Florida Championship, the old Florida Championship wrestling.
Ric Flair. Dude, I think probably 90% of my posts in the last 2 years have had a woo with 18 O's on it, and it's because of him. No doubt. I give props when they do, but
but we did that. So we did that first show at the Armory. And that's where Aron came out and did the heads. Was it the head scissors you did on Outcast?
Wait, what is the movie actually called? So I can.
It's flying head scissors.
It was
Yeah.
one and done. That was it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The thing is, the move was so great. Once you get people, and this is a little wrestling knowledge, right? Once you get the people to, well, like in the wrestling term, we call it pop, which means when they're cheering so loudly, like they possibly cannot get any louder. There's nowhere to go from there. So you just
That's what you said to me, Aaron. So when I was like, I'm nervous about this. I don't know, like, what can I do? He said, you're going to wear those tights and people aren't going to remember much of the wrestling, but they're going to be, the people that don't know you are going to leave there and say, we saw this guy come out in sequin, patent leather boots with silver tights.
Yes.
And it was true.
He's fucking correct. Because when I seen it, I was like, yes, that's the real delight, baby. And then when you see the
Exactly.
the sequence,
Yes.
absolutely master.
Yeah. And I'll say the second show we did, I think it's Mike, the one I sent you the flyer to. That was our second show at the Armory, second show under like the Wham banner.
Yeah.
And well, I'll still say to this day, Bobby and Joey Rufo, the Roof Rider, who's my tag team partner, they had a good match. Aaron, do you remember that? Were you there?
I wish I had them here tonight, honestly.
Yeah,
it was
we got to
good.
get.
You know,
they had a good match.
Who I would have paid to see is the Outcast versus Bob, because I tell you what, I was very proud of Matt's Wham performance.
He did.
Wait, do you know that's the biggest show the Outcast is ever gonna get? But how fucking awesome was that? That came from a backyard. And
Yeah, we brought backyard wrestling indoors. I mean, that's really what we did.
With minimal blood. And
Yeah.
Bobby jumped off the fucking rafters.
We had to, so when we went to the Palladium, I had to sit down with Bobby and Megan. I had dinner at their house, and me and Megan said, you're not jumping off the balcony into the ring.
I was talking last night about this. He said it was too high. He said
we talked him out of it. Yeah. I still think, see, the thing with him is if he went up there, he would have did it. So we had to make sure he didn't even go up there.
Yeah.
I'll say this too. It's funny how this was a while ago and so much has changed the last 20 plus years, but we did that with no social media, no YouTube,
Zero.
no iPhones where you can record stuff. Yep. I mean, think about this. We're doing this now. We have Zoom recording the whole show and it's out to the world that night. Right. Maybe that's a good thing that they couldn't see it all.
Well, maybe for you, under the radar, no record having guys, but me, yeah.
I will say this. I am so glad that our generation was the last generation before everyone had a video camera.
Yeah.
And there were places to post it for the world to see. Yeah. I think we are the last generation that knows what that's like, because that changed the game, man. Like you couldn't.
Society is different. Society is different because of it. And some things you look back on, you're like, man, I wish I had that on camera. But a lot of things you're like, like Jesus, But you're right. You're 100% right, man. It's way different now.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you go to a concert and you see people like they're watching the concert through their iPhones, right? They're like recording it, and it's just like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, chill. Like, I think it's just people aren't as present. They're not as kind of in the moment. And, I am notorious for like, I don't have hardly any pictures. Just because I was never my thing. But I mean, like some of the places, like, thank God we had a camera crew, like sometimes follow us around. So like, I got like the pictures at the Vatican and in the Colosseum and all like the big boys. But, no, I've always kind of just been like, wow, like, let's just be present and do it. And then it's just crazy though, man, because like social media, you got to be on top of it. And when I had a Twitter, WWE made one for me, so I got the blue check, right? But I didn't care about it. And then when I left WWE, like, oh hey, out in Hollywood, like, oh yeah, what's your Instagram? Like, I don't even have one of those things. So then you had to get an Instagram, and then now it's like I have to get a little stupid blue check because there's just there's much
22 different people trying to be you.
It's just you're gonna imitate someone. Why me? Like, there's so many other cool people to imitate. Like, really? Like, I haven't even done anything major in like a while. So it's stupid.
Yeah. I think
But-
that last interview that I was watching with that guy, I think you were just starting your Instagram
Yeah.
went through that. That was the interview, I think.
Yeah. So live chats and all that stuff. But no,
Yeah.
it's cool. No, it's just, you got to kind of evolve with the world.
Yeah, of course.
So,
So what is the stadium filled now when you wrestle?
no. I think that we are going to, well, as far as NWA goes, we are, you said there's the stadium, Phil, right?
Yeah, or wherever you
Yeah.
wherever you wrestle.
I think we're doing fans this time. I may be wrong, but I don't know. But I think they're slowly starting to let people back. And I know that some companies are starting to talk about a touring schedule, which is great. And
Coming back.
it's awesome, right? Because like I was on the road all the time. Like I would come home, do my laundry. I mean, occasionally I'd get to like go to Massachusetts and hang with the family for Christmas and stuff. But when you're on the road constantly, you know, you just, there's no the word like there's no downtime, right? There's no break. So the schedule now is I fly to Atlanta, I'm there for 4 days, and then I fly back here and I'm in the same hotel, sleeping in the same bed, right down the street from the building that we film TV at. It's perfect. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good shit. So you were talking earlier, it was one of my questions, the pop.
Mhm.
And the preface of this whole podcast has been old school wrestling, and which I can't wait to ask you these questions. So the pop is one of my biggest wrestling pop that I've ever seen is Daniel Bryan in Providence.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen it, but the
No.
yes chant, it's probably about, what would you say is your without, like, not yours personally, but the best wrestling pop you've ever seen, the best entrance or the best?
I think if I'm gonna guess what he's gonna say, we were there together
The most crowd participation.
before you wrestled, remember? Think about
When Mick Foley won the world title at the Centrum of all places, and I'm not saying that, it's what the DCU Center now?
was the Centrum, yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
Centrum. It's the Centrum here.
It's still the Centrum.
Still always the Centrum. Is that?
Yeah, but no, coming from someone who has wrestled in every major arena in this country, that was one of the loudest chants I've ever heard. And I was in the business at the time, like I wasn't even training yet, but that was pretty deafening. And
the building shook.
yeah,
Really?
that was pretty deafening.
Well, to piggyback on what Aron was saying earlier is, you know, this is, I guess the internet was around, but not everybody was on it. We certainly weren't. And you didn't know that Stone Cold was going to be there.
Yeah.
You know? So when Stone Cold's music hit, I mean, the building literally shook.
Yeah.
I love it.
What happens is it's called stealing a pop, right? There's an art to it. So in that situation, right, Steve came back, glass breaks, and here he comes. And the crowd went nuts. They went
So
absolutely
crazy.
now it's kind of like a wave, right? Like it's like when you surf, right? And by the way, I don't surf, even though I'm geographically in Surf Central, but like when a wave comes, you know, okay, the people are on their way up, they're on their way up. Now, there's two things that can happen, right? You're not going to sustain a reaction forever, right? Like the reaction will either go up or down, right?
Yep.
And you know, the laws of physics will teach us, like a roller coaster, when you go up so much, there's only one way to go but down. Now, I equate that to Steve's pop, which was, oh my God, he's back, he's back, he's back. But what that did, that led into the finish, right, fairly quickly, right, of then Mick winning the world title, right? So the crowd, they went nuts, but then, you know, the 1, 2, 3, they went nuts again.
Double emotion, yeah.
2-on-1, and that is just, yeah, like that was pretty cool.
I put on a couple this year, this last few weeks. like the best entrance of all time. I mean, I'm not gonna ever remove myself from Hogan. Solo,
Yeah, Hogan, like, just give me an arena, a spotlight, and an entrance song. Yes. Yeah. But
Stone Cold, I think probably took second overall. We got about 150 comments.
yeah, but like the in my opinion, the best entrance of all time is The Undertaker. That
Oh, that's so tough. And a lot of people said that. A lot of people, I think the Ultimate Warrior actually came over The Undertaker in responses. I don't necessarily agree with it, but
no, Warriors was cool. Yeah. Like from a theatrical standpoint, I'm saying, like, right, we have the again, an arena, a spotlight, and a song, like, come down to it, like that. Yeah, those guys are there, but theatrically, like when Taker comes out, it's cool. Like, if it's one of those things where, like, even like, and I've been in the ring, you know, the lights go out and the gong hits, you get goosebumps.
yeah, no doubt.
And then that was like, oh my God, I'm wrestling this guy who I dressed up as him for Halloween when I was a kid, and like, I'm
I remember that.
yeah.
getting choke slammed by him.
Awesome. Undertaker was up there. Ultimate Warrior was up there. We did also the tag teams. Who's your number one tag team of all time? Any league.
Okay, so I am going to say Road Warriors only because of, like, from a pro, and I say this, pro wrestling standpoint. They were, I mean, they were a draw. They were a tag team. Like, when, you know, you went in the South, see, because wrestling was always territorial, and the Northeast, of course, was Vince's territory. So it was always based on a singles wrestler, you know, being the champion and being like the main draw.
Yeah.
But from a Southern standpoint, like, especially if you get into Smoky Mountain, Georgia Championship and stuff, when you had the NWA champion who would travel, so he couldn't be in all these different territories. So there would be a greater emphasis placed on the tag titles. And the Road Warriors, man, I mean, they were an attraction. And
Road Warriors over Legion of Doom. Does it matter?
Warriors are the Legion of Doom.
Same thing, but who's better? Who I was
title?
more LOD than Road
Oh,
Warriors.
See, it's weird to me. They're the same. Like, it's Hawk and
It is.
Animal. So it's like, to me, I've always just kind of equated them, like, with just that. Yeah, and I guess that's just from my weird wrestling perspective.
Demolition is my number one. That's why I have to separate.
Oh.
It's in the league. So I said Demolition is the one I posted, but LOD got way more, you know, looks. And actually, Midnight Express got a lot of looks, which is old school.
Point, the Midnights and Jimmy were absolutely, like, it's great because I've been to, you know, Jimmy's house and stuff, and like,
Really?
Ilya, like the bloody, his white jacket when he, you know, got color, as we say, when he bled like a sieve all over his jacket. Like, he had that up there, his tennis racket that was dented when he hit a fan.
Yeah.
And like the stories he has, and just how he's come up with things. I mean, Midnights are awesome. Arn and Tully, in my opinion, they do not get the credit they deserve. Like, and if we're talking from like a pro wrestling standpoint,
Yeah.
like an in-ring standpoint, Arn and Tully were just awesome. Arn Anderson, I tell you what, he never, ever, ever gets the credit he deserves. Arn is so good.
You're killing me. I disqualified somebody who said the Brain Busters.
Oh yeah,
I disqualified. I seen him at Saturday night's main event. I was there at Centrum when they beat Demolition, when Hogan, I think he was fighting either one man gang or someone, but the cage was out and the Brain Busters were there.
yeah.
Arn Anderson to me is like 80s. You know, it's a little bit before my time.
Yeah, Arn just he's
He was
awesome.
your agent for a while, right, Aaron? When you were wrestling?
What's that?
He did a lot of your matches, right, for WWE?
It, like, I was so lucky because, like, the agents I got to work with, like, I had, you know, there were agents assigned to you, and but then, like, once they kind of got to know you and stuff, it was just they would all kind of be on the same page. There was a group of them that would be on the same page. It was Arn Anderson, Arn, Dean Malenko, Fit Finley, and Mike Rotundo, who I cannot say, like, I could talk about Mike Rotundo all day, and it's not like nothing but awesome things.
That's amazing, dude. Because I remember him. He had the strap on his head. He used to wrestle with the strap, the wrestling strap on his head, way back in like the mid '80s.
Oh, okay. See,
World class wrestling.
Yeah, I was like, wait, Rick Steiner, but no, I don't remember
Yes.
that. But
Same idea. Same idea.
Hey,
no,
Uncle Aaron, just someone wants to say hi to you real quick.
Oh.
Uncle Aaron, baby.
Oh God, you got so big. You got so big. How old?
She's 6 now.
Wow.
This is up here. That's my friend Mike. Can you say hi?
Hi.
How are you? Welcome to the show.
All
Let's
right.
go.
She just wanted to come say hi to Uncle Aaron. We don't get to, like Aaron was saying, it's like every time he's home, we try to get together. But if we miss one round, it's like almost like 2 years before.
Well,
We haven't been together in person since what, 2000, like January, right before COVID hit, really.
yeah, these last 2 years have been garbage, and nothing anyone could do. You know what I mean? But
I was home
good.
for like months, like right
Yeah.
before the pandemic, from October to like middle of January. And I just had this great epiphany of like, oh my, I'm going to start coming home every 3 or 4 months, and this is great. And then all of a sudden, Rona happened. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the end of that. But man, you got me thinking about tag teams now. Like
We were talking about that last week. Remember we were
Dude.
talking about the Road Warrior pop?
the post went forever, and there were tag teams getting brought up. Look I've watched all of wrestling, and there was shit coming out. Someone my buddy Jay mentioned the Ultimate Warrior and Sting. They had their first tag team, and they
Blade Runners.
the Blade Runners. Thank you. I didn't know, and then Jay brought it up. You would think that's the best tag team of all time, but
Well, no, they were individual stars, and
yeah,
it's weird, man. Like you gotta tag team is such a different dynamic because you have to, like, you cannot ride together. Like with Miz and I we've been friends since like 2004, right? But we didn't ride together or anything like that. But we had this chemistry out there. Like we went and did our thing.
you won the Slammy for the best double cross of all time that year, I think.
Dude, I completely forgot about that. And Ross reminded me.
Which is awesome. Which I think is awesome.
Completely lost that. No, like where Cody and I rode together and everything, and Cody and I were like, it's funny because they say, oh, you guys should have won the tag titles and stuff, and yes, I think we should have, but we also, like, for what we would say like we're the new version of the Midnight Express because we were plugged in situations where we would have to wrestle like Brodus and Tenzai, then the Usos the next way. It was just such a different thing, like Daniel and Kane. So like it was such a situation where we had to be like different wrestlers every night to a degree, yet still maintain ourselves. But we did that, and with him and I, like we never ever had a stinker, and that was just always cool. Like we were, we say like the best business tag partner we had.
Yeah. What's cool? I keep harping on that last interview, but it's one of the ones that caught my eye. It was you were talking about being proud of keeping the same character, but morphing. Like you never had to change, but you morph to whatever you need to do, and you thought that was the most valuable part of it all. I think that's awesome, and there's a lot of people that I after you had said that, and I realized that, I look back and I seen a lot of these like Papa Shango, the pimp, that he went through like 8 different characters, but he stayed the same. Tugboat.
Okay. Yeah.
He went through many, kind of stayed the same. He morphed,
Yep.
but I understand what you were saying. I think it's great to bring you to the end of where you decided to drop off. I think you did the most you could. I mean, your character.
Like what at San Francisco Levi Stadium. That was when I had my, as we say in the South, come to Jesus moment on live on pay-per-view, which is not the time to really have one, but it was when Miz and I did the thing, and like there was 87 or 80 whatever thousand people, and they were just like just chanting your name in unison. It's where like you get this guttural vibration inside you, and I just like there's a moment in there where I just went like, all right, I'm gonna soak this up, and I just said, you know what, like with whatever issues I was going through backstage with office people, like I got them to do that, and I shouldn't say me because Miz was a part of that, but like just as a performer, that they were showing just appreciation for the performance, and that was completely removed from like all the politics and whatever else was going on. So to me, that was such a genuine reaction, and like it's funny because all of my reactions I've ever gotten, and I've been lucky enough to always have a great relationship with wrestling fans kind of anywhere I've ever gone. In terms of like not like a great relationship out of the ring, but like when I perform, they've always reacted very well. And you know, I had that epiphany there, and I'm like, you know what, my career is complete. Like I don't have to, you know, win the world title because it's ultimately not my decision. It's Vince's. Like this reaction here, like this is what I wanted. Like this is what I have desired my whole life. And then after that, like it was about a year because I had to think about it. I thought about it for a year before I ended up asking for my release. And it was the following year, the Raw after WrestleMania that I did. And they said no. And then they did it 2 weeks later. But, you know, all's well that ends well. And it's just, I don't know, a funny, just kind of a funny way. Cause I was always kind of like chasing things externally, right? Like I want to do this, I want to do that. And then, once you actually kind of start to live it, it becomes something very different, right? It like when I had like my vignettes, right? I've always wanted like vignettes for my debut, and I had them, and they were airing on Raw. I'm like, all right, this is the coolest thing ever, but I also didn't feel kind of as full as I thought I would.
Yeah.
It was strange, right? But then you just kind of learn, and like you realize there's more to life than just your career and stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, you appreciate what you have. And
Aron, that's amazing. That honestly, that's amazing to hear from someone of your stature who's been, you know, on TV and done what he's done. Like to be able to put it aside and be like, I'm not happy doing that, or I know I'm more and I can do more. That's amazing, man. So you know, I'd love to say that's Worcester's heart, but I'm gonna give that to you for now. But that's
right. Well, it's part of it.
That's all we all do. You know what I mean? I really, I respect it. A lot of people around here respect it, and you know, keep being human. That's it.
That's all we can do. And it's just
you know, so I teach. I'm a teacher, and I've been teaching for 15 years, and I teach mostly seniors and stuff. And you talk about, you know, you get to especially now at the end of May, and you talk about you know, dreams and whatnot. You gotta remember, Aron, I want to say in like first grade, right? It's like, what are you going to be when you grow up? And he wanted to be a professional wrestler.
That's crazy.
Oh, and then here you look at him, and just some of us, you know, he doesn't brag, so I'm going to brag for him. You know, you look at
all this.
Like even small stuff, like he goes as the Undertaker. I think we were in fourth grade, right? Around fourth grade, we went as the Undertaker for Halloween, fourth or fifth grade. I'm almost like his historian.
Yeah.
I think I
was that, fourth grade.
So, and then he wrestles the Undertaker several times, you know. And then you have, you know, things like working in Madison Square Garden, which is the mecca, right, of professional sports, and getting the loudest pop at that WrestleMania in San Francisco. And then my favorite is either that or, you know, obviously being kids of the, you know, teenagers in the 90s, everyone's doing the crotch, you know, the suck it, whatever. And he started was it the 1000th episode of Raw, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, the 1000th episode of Raw, which we used to watch as kids and call each other, hey, you see this and that. We'd laugh, and, you know, during the Attitude Era. And he starts off the 1000th episode of Raw getting beat up by DX, which was, I mean, I had chills. That's, you know, and so I tell my kids that I teach, I'm like, listen, whatever you say as a kid, if you stick with it, you can, you know, he's proof.
Well, here's a fun fact about Ross and I. Ross is like the chronicler of my, because he knows more about my career than I do, and that's not a huge feat because I am like I cannot tell you like where things happen, what moments happen. People, oh, do you remember when you did this? Like I have no idea, but like there's like maybe a handful of towns I remember, or like in different like cities, and but like Ross is awesome because like he will bring back these memories, and it's cool.
How is the Real Delight not ever been your manager? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Jesus, Aaron, I'm putting you on the spot. We need the Real Delight.
NWA. Stay tuned.
Good.
Stay tuned.
Look at it. I'm a fan. I'll tell you, the Real Delight's my dude.
It will the resurrection of Gary Hart or the Grand Wizard.
Dickie Maynard, we talked about Mr. Maynard earlier. He used to tell us all the time. He used to want us to be me to be Aaron's manager. We're both Lebanese. He wanted us to be sheiks. We wanted to be just American boys.
Yes. Yes.
Let me tell you something. Dickie Maynard recognized the minute I got into Holy Name that I wasn't supposed to be there. He was like, "Listen, man, I'm going to show you the small bucket now. You're going to be doing this on Saturdays from now on." I said, "I'm going to South, man. They don't have that thing."
I'll tell you the best thing, going to school with him for as long as we did, the end of Holy Name, well, really all of Holy Name, was one long wrestling match that you perfected characters.
No, you know what? Actually not lying.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
The Lounge?
Yeah.
Getting in-house suspension together.
Yeah, and because high school was weird. The last 2 years of high school were, or I should say year and a half, right? Because I started training like midway through my junior year.
Yeah, December of '97, I believe, is when you went out there.
Yeah, like you talk about like a juxtaposition of lifestyles, right? Where I would literally, right, and this would kind of go on through my my senior year. Like I would be sitting in homeroom on a Friday, having Miss Jagir. Remember Miss Jagir?
Oh yeah. I was about to ask you who your worst teacher was there, but we'll get to that after.
Dude, one time that woman, I am talking like Adam Vinatieri, punted my bag. Remember that, Ross?
Well, in her defense, he would carry around a hockey bag with a notebook, like a bottle of water, one pen, and like a protein bar. And he'd have this bag that would take up the entire row.
It's fine. It's fine.
Dude, I was social distancing before social distancing was cool, man.
Yeah, she booted that across the room.
I mean, I was amazed and actually pleasantly surprised at the vitality that woman had, and the physical prowess to just send bags flying across the classroom.
Another Holy Name teacher that applies to wrestling, Craig Durrell. He was in the show. He was in a few shows.
Yeah. He was at the South show where we've put Billy in the hospital.
Yes, he was.
He was my tag team partner that day.
Ross, he caused destruction, man.
Durrell was awesome. Yeah. He's doing well, right? He's back in Kansas City.
I think so, yeah, man. I think he got sick for a little bit there, but he's doing his thing now. I think he's down there in Kansas City working. But great dude, man. You couldn't ask for a better guy.
I worked with him at Holy Name. I went back and taught at Holy Name for about 8 years, and I taught literally next door, the next room over.
His first year in Holy Name, that's the year I went there, 94.
Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah.
Right up. Yeah.
Hey, right. Psalm 119. Fuck you. I busted 119, baby. I busted balls to this day. Write that fucking verse all day long.
Dude,
Durrell's a great dude, man. Great dude. He was really good with he actually, connected with the students. And he kept discipline too with Psalm 119 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah. Durrell, I do. I have so many good memories of Holy Name. I mean, it was such a great place. I mean, it was just, it's a shame that they were clearly, I don't like to say much, and I'm all about like talking to mass groups of people. But no, this is a Worcester podcast, so I'm going to make my statement, if we will.
Absolutely.
It is a shame that the diocese decided, because of the lack of funds in some schools that will remain nameless, but the financial success that Holy Name was, as well as providing an amazing education, that they did not concede and just say, you know what, we'll keep Holy Name. The other one wasn't cutting it. Let's face the facts.
Yeah.
What wasn't happening? That's the only, and this is nothing against. I mean, I'm not, a St. John's guy or a St. Peter's guy. Obviously, I still carry around, some memories of them. Like
animosity or memories.
That never goes. That never goes away. St. John's, no way. And you know what? Their parents are rude too. So
Aron, I just did a podcast last week with all the Inter High and Worcester basketball teams, Diego McLean, Rashad Bine, all these people. The first answer they gave when I said, who do you like to beat? St. John's.
Yeah.
St. Peter's. Burncoat. Yeah. Burncoat because of Mike Bradley, but St. John's, man.
We were lucky when we grew up too, in school, because all the Inter High, and I've coached basketball. This is going to be my 15th year coaching basketball coming up. And I've seen some great teams, but God, they were so good when we played. We were in high school. I watched your Diego and BT and those guys, and oh God, I mean, when I was in 8th grade when they were seniors, and it was like going to see the Celtics.
You read the sports page every day. You read what you're like. You couldn't even wait. I told them, like, I peaked athletically when I was 12. I keep telling people, literally. So when I got to high school, like, I was already on sports page watching stats, the fantasy kind of thing before internet came out. But you always watch those games and watch those kids. I always read every stat, and basketball has not been the same since those days around here. High school wise. I mean, they felt it too. They do feel it. And actually, the response I got from that podcast, it seems consensus,
Yeah. I mean, I could tell you what, coaching, my first year was 2007, I think I started coaching. And don't get me wrong, there's some great teams and some great talent.
Right.
But it was just
JP Ricciardi, baby.
Yeah.
That's it. Number one. He recruited, he had pro teams. That's what everybody says, but still, Pilton, was he was your year?
He was a little bit younger than us, Neil.
Younger than you guys?
Yeah, but Neil's a great guy. We always got along. I'll send you this. I forgot to tell you this, Aron, the other day. I found a picture of us, our class, our math class, junior year with Neil. And it's like teacher? Miss Jackman. Remember Miss Jackman?
Oh, that's what I wanted to hear, baby. I never got thrown out of any more classes in my high school career than Mrs. Jackman with Eddie Brown. No bullshit. Payback. Not true.
She'd send us up to write on the board, me and him. Remember this, Aron? And we'd be writing on the board, and our friends would have. Remember at the cafeteria they had the lifesavers, but it was like the low rent lifesavers. They're like beach nuts.
Beach nuts. They were beach nuts. In the winter,
they take all the chalk and those, and they just gun it at us. We'd be smashed. Aron would take a sweater and put it over my head.
It was literally like in the medieval times when they would haul rocks and stuff at you from the castle. We'd be up there trying to solve a math problem. Keep in mind, and I'm just going to say this because some of us are educators, but Ross and I were not the most mathematically savvy students.
No.
That's fine.
No, my kids will come up to me now. I'm going to fail that math MCAS. Can you help me? I'm like, if you're asking me for help, you already lost.
Miss Jackman. So Miss Jackman today, what would she be looked at? Like, that lady was insane. I'm gonna have to say that. Hopefully she's good today, but
she was I'll say this: working there, you learn that as a teacher anyway. I learned that it's almost like peeking behind the curtain at Oz. Like you realize that when you're a kid, you think that every teacher has it together, and then you start working as a teacher and you see, wow, there's some people are off. We'll say that.
Yeah, people are off. Yeah, kids too. It's tough to deal with. It's not a great atmosphere, you know.
Yeah, it could be
Kinda-
tough. It could be tough. It's not for everybody. It's not the hardest thing in the world by any means, but you need a certain personality to do it.
And you guys don't get, in my opinion, you guys have the hardest job to educate people, and you guys don't get enough credit, and you don't get paid enough. And that's, I've always.
Well, you know, the big thing is you look at like Mike, like you said about Darrell, like, and Darrell, we were close with Darrell, but for us, it was Mr. Reynolds was like our mentor.
Yeah.
For 4 years, and he was a guy who was tough on you. I mean, we both got detentions. I think Aron got kicked out of class from Mr. Reynolds more than any other teacher, right?
Hey, I broke him in, so you kind of owe me. I just ask him. He knows my name only because it was his first year.
Yes.
I love that guy though.
Yeah. So his first year, when you were a sophomore, we were freshmen, and we had him 3 times that year.
Yeah.
3 times that year. So we had a math. This is how we had our English teacher for math. That's the level of math they were allowed to put us in.
That's no joke.
I get it.
So
We used to
that
call it the sweat hogs.
masses thing. You know,
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
to, and I can solve like any kind of like the Euclid's whatever problem thing that was, and I've done riddle, but like put me on a chalkboard, no way.
Nope.
Well, forget it. Who was Miss Reardon there?
Oh yeah.
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 Enough, I always got along with Miss Reardon.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I did too. And it was all. Listen, I was never in that office unless I got kicked out. And she was always like stern, but she knew, like,
You know why, Mike? Honestly, I learned this when I worked with her 1 year. She was the headmaster my first year teaching. She loved city kids. She loved city kids who needed a break.
Yeah.
Like we all did.
She really did. She and my dad, when I first got there, he did the band, he did bingo, he did, my sister graduated from there. So,
Yeah.
but they loved him. And when I walked in, I was like, I'm self-timed. Like, I don't even belong here, but I'll be here, I guess. I'm not belong, but I can't complain about, you learn everything everywhere you go. And, I got kicked out of that school and I wanted to go back the next year because I learned, my lesson. I knew what was going on.
Yeah, just Mr. Reynolds, though, he's such a great educator. And,
He is.
Like,
Dude, I had him as a rookie. I
Yeah.
hazed him as a rookie only because I was an asshole, like 14-year-old. But
Yeah.
really, you ask him, man, but nothing but respect. I think he got the window there too, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, him and Miss Reardon. Yeah, him and Mrs. Reardon. Yeah.
Amazing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got to work for him too. It was cool. It's like, I was so used to having him as, we still call him to this day, Mr. Reynolds. So we won't call him by his first name.
Mr. Reynolds, baby. I called him Ed in class, but I'll call him Mr. Reynolds. But to be honest, though, he cared. He legitimately cared. 2 people in my life at that point, I can say actually cared about the kids. Maureen Benenda, who is now the
She's
superintendent.
awesome. Yeah.
That lady was amazing. I'll take anybody on one-on-one in a debate that wants to go ahead to see. That lady cares about the kids.
Yeah.
Cares about it. She always has. Me, number one, like back in the day. But Ed Reynolds, he actually cared about the students.
Yeah.
He didn't care, he doesn't care about the politics of everything. And
No, it's all about the kids. And that's how it should be when you're a team.
Not one bad word to say, even though I'm sorry, Mr. Reynolds, for hazing you. I'm sorry for being. I'm sorry, like I was just, young, but nothing but respect. He's done a good job. He did a good job up there. But I think it's awesome. Aron, did you play any sports up there other than?
Yeah. So like part of the deal, like my parents are interesting people.
They're the best. They're the best people.
They're the best.
They are. I honestly, I'm blessed to have had the parents I've had. I publicly say that, but they got the bright idea that like I needed to play one sport associated with Holy Name in order to get into a decent college, because my mother heard some story about someone that was smart. So like, all right, I'll try basketball. I didn't care. I'll be very honest with you. And to go play and like for me to give my attention to anything, right? I got to be into it, because if I'm not feeling something, I'm out. That's
hard.
I don't want to waste my time or anyone else's. And playing sports at Holy Name, when I knew like, okay, these are how the next couple of years of my life are going to go. I'm going to be a wrestler. I'm going to, kind of go this way. I did that to just essentially appease my parents because I lived in their house. So it was like,
Yeah.
play football, I'll go play, but I didn't care. I didn't give a flying, I didn't try, didn't want to. And really just, I enjoyed the conditioning, like, the running and stuff. Like I enjoyed the contact, which was cool. Like, so I enjoyed practice and I enjoyed the games of football, but like to like learn the plays. I mean, no, just if I'm going to have to play, put someone in front of me, tell me I got to smash them and then we'll see what happens. I just didn't care. I didn't want to learn the game. I didn't want to, go to these banquets and hang out. No, like I just didn't care. And I've always kind of been like that. Like even now, like I'm very, like I don't hang out with a lot of people. I have my friends here in LA that I do, and we hang and it's cool, but like I don't have this, just giant like group of people. And it's funny because I have like, however many hundreds of numbers in my phone, but I talk to like the same 10 people maybe.
You call Ross once a day.
Yeah, that's it.
Dude, nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that at all. You gotta keep it real.
I kind of like doing my own thing and being on my own terms, which is why I've never been married. I'm still single, and that's something, again, I just kind of accept. And I think that marriage is a beautiful thing. I think it's amazing. And, that people having families, my sister's pregnant again. That's awesome.
Congrats.
It's just, again, I recognize it is not my thing. That is not the way I choose to live my life. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just like I don't think there's anything wrong with having kids and having a great family and doing all that stuff, right? It's kind of like everyone's got to kind of get in where they fit in,
Absolutely. That's how I roll, but
yeah,
that's how Ross rolls. Look at the real delight, man. Aron, look at this guy.
I tell you, NWA, just don't miss that, because sooner or later the real delight may make his return. Shall we
I believe that name was you came up with, Aron, I think. The Real Delight.
Oh wow, that's
You
cool.
could be wrong about that.
Either way, if the debut happens, I want to see those same sequin pants.
Tights.
They still. They are. Like my parents, they have this room, and it's like a like a little storage thing, but it literally is chock full of all of my wrestling stuff. Like there's so much crap there. Like I go home and I'm like, how did I have all this stuff made over the years? I mean, there's jackets and robes and just insane like outfits I had. It's crazy, man.
The craziest thing for me is when I was in Target and I'm walking through the aisles with my son, and I look over and I just see his action figure when you were the intellectual saver, and I had seen him on TV for a bit, but I was like, I mean, how do you comprehend that?
Right, it is. I couldn't imagine.
One time that I was like, okay, like, all right, when you see yourself in a video game, it's like, all right, that's kind of okay, and like you can create yourself though in a video game.
Right.
I was like, all right, whatever, cool. That's pretty, badass that I get to be in the video game and this and that. But like when you actually see, like the little voodoo doll of yourself, that's pretty trippy, because as a kid, like that's all I played with. I had all kinds of toys, but I was just like, no, I enjoy this. And that was pretty cool. That was like the one time, because I'm just one of these people, I'm never satisfied, I guess, to a degree. Like I'm always like looking for the next mountain to climb. And if it's one thing I would do over, like I would take a few extra seconds to appreciate like the cool stuff that like I was doing. And that's really the only regret. But the action figure was the first thing, and really the only thing, that when I saw that, I went like, oh hell yeah, like this is real. You know what I mean? Like this is a real thing. And then so they company sent me a bunch, and then my family all bought them and everything, and did my Uncle Mike did awful things to yeah, there were holes drilled, and we're not going to go there.
Jesus. That's great. That I get it too, because man, I had every rubber wrestling doll when I was a kid.
Oh yeah,
Like I had everything, like the ones that you ordered out of the magazines that the other kids didn't have. And the tragic story is, it's actually funny, but my dad passed 2 years ago from pancreatic cancer.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But I'll bust his balls if he comes back today, because he sold every rubber wrestler I had at a fucking yard sale for $2.50.
For the whole
He
thing?
bought them all. He bought them all for like Christmas, birthdays, the whole thing. So, Dad, what are you doing? Doesn't a year later, eBay craze comes out. These things go for like $100 a dollar now. Oh, and the old school ones. All right, $2.50 in a fucking egg crate. He saved them for 30 years. He paid for all of them. I was like, Jesus.
Oh, that's crazy.
The original Andre, the original Hogan.
Yeah, the good Andre, right?
The good Andre.
We had the blue trunks with Yep.
Yep.
Not the
Macho
singlet.
Man.
Hair, yeah.
Beefcake. Yeah, the hair. The hair. We did the Andre tribute last week. That was a good one.
Oh my
Dude.
God, that's very cool.
The greatest drinker of all time. I mean,
Was and it's funny. Tim White was Andre's handler, and Timmy, he's a semi-local guy, out of Providence, and I think he's in Florida now. But Tim White, no one has more Andre stories than him. And like every time I would fly out of Providence, we would go, and he would, all right, let's have a screwdriver, kid. And I would just talk to him about Andre. It was the best.
Dude, I wish you stopped by last week. I know you were busy, but we have, so many stories. He did his tribute on A&E, I think.
Wow.
But I mean, for years now, we've heard these 160 day sit-down stories, but it's incredible. Like,
yeah, he told me a story once. I think they were in Paris, and there was some kind of they were coming out of a bar, and there was some kind of an incident in traffic where like him and Andre were in the car, and then someone rear-ended them and was starting to talk some smack. And I guess like the guy's his head's hanging out of the window, and he's like talking a bunch of BS. And then Andre just got out of the car, and he said he just took the car and tipped it up on its side, got out of the car, drove off. He was like, yeah, that was pretty much the craziest thing I've seen him do. And like, yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, the respect that guy got from everybody is insane. And actually, when we were kids, or when I was a kid, he was the heel. He was like, but all those guys loved him. Like every single wrestler loved Andre the Giant. Anybody, past, present, future, amazing.
Well, he was an attraction. Andre was the first national star. Andre was the first individual to really transcend the wrestling business. He was bigger than the business. And not just because he was in The Princess Bride, because he kind of had this weird, in my opinion, like this weird way to connect to people. And I don't know if it's more of a mythological thing, because like we all grow up hearing stories of giants, and where, in wrestling, like wrestling is just, it should be anyways, a larger than life business, right?
Yes.
But Andre truly was. I mean, he was a giant. And it's just really, really cool, because like someone like that, they appeal to some kind of, some aspect of the human condition, whatever it may be, right? Call it human condition, collective unconscious, whatever, if you're subscribed to the Jungian theory. But Andre had that. He was the first one that everyone knew who Andre was. And, Hogan came after that, like when we had after WrestleMania 3, which in my opinion was the greatest card of all time. Hogan became the household name. So that was kind of, in my opinion, like it affected the like the fabric of Americana. It affected like pop culture and our identity as a nation to some degree. Even if you weren't a wrestling fan, you knew who Hulk Hogan was. You knew who Andre the Giant was. You knew who Randy Savage was.
Hogan, and I see it as Hogan was the icon. Hogan's America. He's trying to tackle the biggest thing on earth to make the world believe, and that doesn't exist in wrestling anymore. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it. And I don't want to use the role model word. I don't want to use, but Hogan was someone like that the kids believed in. It was more than just, a storyline. It was Andre the Giant was the biggest thing you could tackle at that moment. And when Hulk Hogan slammed him, everybody felt like they won. Everyone, there's it doesn't exist anymore. I think it's what's missing. The storylines are what's missing now.
Without a doubt. And you know what? I don't necessarily put that on the performers.
I agree. I agree 100%. You're right.
And I know, like with NWA, like part of the appeal with NWA, and we were headed there, I tell you what, pre-pandemic, and we're there again already. We're cooking. It's like, you have to appeal to people's emotions because that's what wrestling is, right?
Right.
Look, and I've used this equation all the time, right? Like, none of us are tough guys. What we do is fake. Brock was an amateur, like all-American. I mean, was a complete badass before he decided to be a pro wrestler, and that's why he's a UFC and everything. But he was trained in some style of combat, of actual fighting, where we create the illusion of violence. Or at least we try to anyway. Some people are really rotten at it and they shouldn't be on TV, but that's another show that I could talk
Let's go next week.
But in doing that, right, if you're in a bar and a fight breaks out, okay, and you're sitting there at a table and maybe you're talking to your buddies, or maybe it's a like you have the couples thing, whatever, you're sitting there and a fight breaks out, you're going to go like this, oh, and you're going to watch it, and when the fight spills out the door, you're going to go back to having your meal, right? If you're in a bar and your best friend gets in a fight, at the very least, you're going to be watching it you're going to be like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on? What the, if you know the people involved, even if it's not your best friend, if it's someone you casually know and they get into a fight, you're going to be more invested, like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? Let's check it out, right? I say that in terms of the wrestling business, if you know the characters through television, through, again, what they do, how they project, how they kind of bring their character to life, and you're invested in them, you're going to watch. If you're not, no matter what they do, Mick Foley got thrown off the top of a cage, right?
Best match ever, right? I would say. Since
then, people have been trying to duplicate that. And you know what? There's so many talented people out there. There are so many amazing athletes. But why, when Jerry the King Lawler could go out there, it was like probably 10 or something years ago, but like, and people think that he's going to win the world title. He's a 60-year-old man. And all he's doing is throwing punches and throwing kicks, and that place is going nuts. There is an art to that. There is an art to that. And I've always prided myself, like when I work a house show, I'd have a guy, like if I was a heel, right, get on top of me, out wrestle me. And I would say, okay, sell this as long as I have you, please. And they go, okay. And you know what I would do? They'd have my arm, or like an arm bar or hammerlock. I would kick them in the stomach, and they would actually bend over like they actually got kicked in the stomach. And I would just kind of sell my arm, but then look at the people as he was selling. And you would have thought, I lit him on fire, right? There's an art in how we do that. Like, it's timing, feeling a crowd. It's acknowledging that they're there, right? And being adaptable enough to adjust, because a crowd in Memphis is not going to be the same as a crowd in Boston. I can assure you of that. They're two very, very, very different animals. And then you get the LA crowd, which is, I'm not even going to go there, but no, like every crowd is different. So if you can just, like, young wrestlers, like if they could just understand that that's what it's about. It's not about who's in the ring. It's not. It's about the people, and the people that are in the ring. Their job is to get those people to notice them so they can further their career. And look, any moonsault, I mean, I can do a moonsault. I did one at the last pay-per-view. Like, who cares? There's a reason I don't do one every day, because I don't want to have to do one every day, number one. And number two, it's not required. You know?
Right.
I mean, look at Aaron, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We were on the phone talking about, we'll talk about wrestling here and there, but you look at AEW and those guys, like, I heard you say it, Aaron, like, athletically, we're at the peak probably of athletic ability in wrestling, would you say?
Yes.
Right. But then you look at AEW, the biggest draw is Chris Jericho, whose finisher is a spinning elbow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean,
there you go.
I don't know. It's tough to watch it.
Well, what was really interesting to me is, your whole life you battle, argue with people, is wrestling real or fake, and whatever. Whoever believes what is what. But the script is what I wanted to touch on, and a lot of people really believe that the script is already written, like move for move. Like, wrestling fans believe, they understand that. I mean, wrestling is wrestling, but people believe that it's scripted, like line for line. And a lot of the stuff that I've watched is not. I see these guys. I watched a wrestler a couple of days ago, and you guys meet beforehand and talk about what you're going to do. It's not really written down on paper. Is that correct? Or
People did. I think in WCW, Johnny Ace was doing that with the newer guys, like with Jindrak and O'Hare. And rest in peace, God, I missed that guy. He was O'Hare, in my opinion, biggest, like,
wasted talent.
Oh my God. Like,
You said that for years.
The best look in the history of pro wrestling, and I have so many Sean O'Hare stories that I will not say in public.
Another episode. We got two planned. Let's go.
Oh man, but just a great guy, and it was a tragedy about him. What happened to him? And I only knew him casually, like, because I was a young kid, and then when I got to OVW and stuff. But no, he was awesome. But like, no. So here's the thing: some people like to, okay, they like to script all their promos out, and I have never. My first promo ever. And again, I had very minimum interaction with Vince, but like, I went to him and I said, "Hey, could I just change a few things?" He goes, "All right, try it." And then the crowd started chanting something else, and I reacted to it, and I kind of developed a trust with him. So, give me the time. Like, this is a 2 or 3 minute promo. You have to sell Survivor Series pay-per-view. Go. Like, I would go on Raw and get what we have to get done in the time we needed to get it done. That was the thing. A lot of guys like to write their stuff out, and you know what? It may very well work, right? Sometimes it lines up, but when you go out there, and again, let's say you're in like Green Bay, and they're just not buying what you're saying. You can continue doing what you're doing, and it's going to suck, or you can say, all right, we got to make some changes, and like you take the promo in a different direction, but saying the same thing. And the same goes for the match. I mean, people think that it's scripted. I have gone out there. This is all right. Cody and I, we were wrestling the Colognes, and thank God it was the Colognes. We had a 2-segment match planned for Raw. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't 2. It was a 1-segment match, and it was a 6-minute tag match, right? We get out there, and something happened backstage where they didn't film something, or they had camera issues, and they had to do something to side. I forget what was going on exactly. But we get in the ring, and the referee, Mike Chioda, he comes up to us, and he goes, "All right, boys, we got an extra segment." And we're going, "What?" He goes, "Yes, you have an extra segment. So that's a 6-minute or 8-minute segment plus 3 minutes for commercial break, plus 9 minutes when we come back." Right?
Wow.
We had 6 minutes of a match plan, but the Colognes are so good. And, Cody, like, we communicate in there. We called everything in the ring on Raw, and, the ratings did not drop at all. We literally just, it was a match planned in the ring in front of, 10,000 people or whatever. But when you're a professional, you don't panic.
That's a talent of it, right? That's.
Well, yeah, like in Puerto Rico, I know this. When I wrestled down there, and I wrestled for Eddie and Orlando and Carlito, I wrestled for their dad. You didn't see who you were in the ring with until you got in the ring, because the heels would change on one side of the building, the baby faces would change in the other. And my first match out there, I had a guy, he kind of half spoke English, but it was just, we had the referee tell us to finish back and forth. Like I had to tell the guy how to take my finish and all that stuff and anything he wanted to do. And we just got out there and we would just do it. So that's that kind of confidence that, you know, over time it'll build up.
Right.
And
yeah,
have that. And I don't see that with a lot of people. Like they're so worried about, again, the flip and this and that like their punches look like crap. You cannot get emotionally invested, you know, just make me love you or hate you so much. And then just don't do anything that's completely rotten. Like let the world know that wrestling's fake, because guess what? We all know it is, just like the movie Rocky was fake. Right. But we all, you know, Ivan Drago's a heel. Rocky Balboa is a babyface. We get that. And wrestling is the same thing. And there's a lot of that missing. And the ones that know what that's like stand out. And that's why.
I agree 100%. I do.
Yeah.
So Ross, we'll start with this.
Yeah.
Your greatest champion of all time, any league. There's only one answer, but in my eyes.
How do you not go Flair? You know,
You can say Flair, I'm going Hogan.
yeah, I mean, I'll say that. You know, let me like, I don't know. Me and Aron have talked about this a million. It's tough because, you know, like, do you? Yeah, Hogan. I mean, right? Hogan's the draw. Like Hogan's the Babe Ruth, right? I mean, he's the guy that we're paying the big bucks to see on the biggest stage.
I declared Hulkamania my political affiliation yesterday publicly. So I just want to let you know that first of all. I get into some weird political argument on a thread. That's how I ended it. Hulkamania, I'm not Republican or Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, right. We all grew up with Hulkamania. I mean Hogan, but then, you know, I also love how like The Rock and Stone Cold took the charisma of Hogan and then had the ability of like, say, like a Macho Man or a Steamboat. I mean, I think Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude, and you put those two guys in any promotion as the top two heels. And what's that, Aron?
DiBiase.
Yeah, DiBiase too, right? I mean, the fact that those three weren't world champions.
Yeah, like DiBiase was awesome, man. And
they're trying to make his title real right now, right? Aren't they arguing for that? They're trying to make his title.
Yes, he's putting out. He has a social media campaign to make his title reign legit.
And
yeah, dude. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I watched Shawn Michaels documentary.
The $1 million belt, baby. It's real. Yeah.
Is this started by Ted himself, or is it just fans?
I think it's a joke. I think he's doing it, but it's like a comedic thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a real Ted, though. It's a real $1 million man.
You know, going to what you guys are saying about tag teams earlier. I mean, when you watch the Rockers, and you know,
dude,
again, we've talked about. Wow.
Them and with Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond.
Yeah.
God, that their match. I just had someone watch that match. They were asking me stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, check this out." They were just amazing. Heart Foundation, like OG Heart Foundation, was great.
Yeah,
that was my number 3. Bulldogs were on my 4.
Yeah, like rock and rolls were, and Aron, like it was funny. Before the shows would always start, like they would get out of the production meeting, and Aron would change into his his workout gear and sit where the announcers would sit, and I would always meet him there. So him and I we'd sit down, and we'd like, you know, the all the union workers, and some of them looked pretty gnarly. So, you know, and he'd be like, guys, look at that, what the hell? You know, but we would talk about wrestling a lot, obviously. And, you know, Aron said, he goes, in 1983 to about mid 86, I think it was, there was no one hotter than the Rock and Roll Express. And like he to this day, he's like, you would just put them like on a poster or advertise them in a town, building would sell out. It would be men, women, like just everyone. Like they were and they're really the precursor to the Rockers, to Sean and Marty.
I was just gonna say, I didn't
And-
know if there was a connection there. Like, I didn't know.
Yes. Oh God,
It
yeah,
has to be.
yeah, because they were the Midnight Rockers in AWA.
Yeah.
And which rip off because rock and rolls and Aron said they were just so hot that Rock and Roll Express, they're still going. Like Ricky Morton is doing like Hurricane Ranas and stuff now. They're and they were like pre-COVID in NWA, you know, as part of a tag team. Robert and I have been friends for years, and I got to kind of know Ricky a little more, and it was cool. Like those guys are awesome, and it, like to me, like you know, doing the thing with DX was cool. Like I got to go and kind of cut a promo before getting super kicked and pedigreed. And
I saw that. I saw that.
By the way, that was all improvised. Like you talk about scripts. No, we completely improvised that whole thing.
Really?
We knew what was coming in the end. You know, like we knew, okay, I was gonna take it and then turn around, get the pedigree. But no, that was promo wise. We went out there and that was just done off the cuff. We had an idea of stuff, but it was let's just go see what the atmosphere is like. And yeah, that was just the cool part. But no, getting back to rock and rolls, man. To be in like the NWA desk and like the announce table where we've seen the Horsemen and we've seen Ricky Morton cutting the promo to when he was going to fight Ric Flair and Dusty on there. Like I at that promo just taking a verbal dump on the Rock and Roll Express and they're firing back at me and like saying a bunch of shit to me and like Rick and I actually to me that was just as cool as the DX stuff because it was very real to me. It felt like stepping in a time machine.
I was gonna say, yeah, old school.
Okay, that's why NWA is just that's the only thing that would have got me back in the game is like that style of wrestling. And yeah, like rock and rolls, man, they are no joke. They were probably, I'd say, money drawing in the 80s. Them and the Fabulous Ones were tight, but like the rock and rolls were just so over in the South. You just couldn't man. And speaking of tag teams too, I want to say this, like the Usos are the best tag team I've ever, because I've had different partners against those guys.
Technicians, right?
Usos are amazing.
Yeah.
I just publicly want to say they are the best tag team I've ever been in a ring with.
I've never seen a match of theirs that I haven't enjoyed. I know they're all over the place. It's insane.
Incredible. They're so cool. Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good shit, man.
Yeah, but oh man, you got me thinking about tag teams. Yeah, that's crazy. But
dude, I would not believe I've been at this thing for a while. Like I've posted a few things. I've never gotten a response like I did this week doing for the show, like putting out who's the best tag teams of all time or entrances or the response that I got is insane. People are so interested in the wrestling that's already happened compared to what's ahead of us. It's
here's the thing. Why are more people watching the A&E stuff on Sunday nights than are tuning into Raw? Ask yourself that.
It's garbage. That is the response you're going to get. That word's going to come out 75% of the time, if not more. That question you asked is garbage.
Yeah,
it's all garbage. Why? Look at that. The AEW stuff is blowing up right now. Your NWA is blowing up right now. People want to see that. They don't want to see. We're done with explosions. We're done with naked girls. We're done with all that. For now.
Right? Explosions. Right? I like pyro. I like technology. Right? It's badass to have a well-produced entrance, which is, again, I think, in my opinion, the coolest entrance I've ever seen is Taker's, because there's just such a different feeling when that happens. But put all that. I think that the wheel is round, and you can put hubcaps, you can put spinners, you can put whatever you want. But if you try to make the wheel not round, it is not a wheel, and it will not function as a wheel. And I think ultimately that is what's been happening. And I kind of caught the tail end of it, which is why I bailed. They are so focused on, again, from a corporate standpoint, because, and here's the thing, I can't blame Vince, because that deal he had with Peacock and NBC, You know how many millions of dollars he made off of that? So
Of
the
course.
business where it's just creating content, as opposed to quality. So it's quantity over quality. And the reality of it is, if someone gets too big, they don't need Vince anymore. So that's why WWE will kind of like cool them off. They
The
need
Rock.
people, you know. And again, that's not a knock or anything. That is the way the business is. And that's okay, because you know what, you got to deal with it, adapt, and just whatever, you know.
Same thing across sports, man. The best
Yeah.
player on the team always finds a better contract. Someone will do something else when he gets too big, right? Same idea.
Yeah.
Again, I can't hate. We can't hate, you know. I mean, but wrestling today is garbage. Other than I think the backyard stuff is really coming up. Like even what you're doing is incredible. There's a market for it now, you know, and it's not mainstream TV anymore. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because like what NWA is, you know, we are, and we brand ourselves like as this, at least in the back, anyways. And you know, that's what the vibe is. Do you remember ECW in the late '90s?
I was just gonna say Halloween Havoc or like those shows. That's
Like
what
that was WCW. ECW was like, they were a more regional, kind of smaller, but underground and cool, right? Everyone loved ECW. And they were essentially the alternative to the mainstream product, like what was you know, most seen in the public. Well, what NWA is, we are today's equivalent of ECW, because with people doing these death-defying stunts, and look, we have high flyers, we have like world-class people there. I mean, from Japan, Mexico, domestically here in the US, you know, we have these great talents, but at the same time, we are very much like character oriented. We want the audience to know who they are watching, right? Because everyone knows what they're watching. They're watching pro wrestling. Get them to know who they are watching. And you know, it's very selective. It's funny because people, oh yeah, NWA, and like it's very kind of like we're very much like everyone is on the same page in that company for the most part. It's and you know, from Billy to Pat Kenny, who I will put over. He was Simon Diamond in ECW. Since Pat took over, I tell you what, I absolutely am so grateful that I get to deal with him and Billy, because like other bosses, you know, have been, you know, a little not as easygoing, shall we say, and understand stuff. But like Pat is just amazing in that spot, and Billy has been amazing to work for.
I was gonna say, tell me, how did Billy Corgan get involved with wrestling?
He just always loved it.
Really?
Yeah, just always a fan, and is a true fan. But the first time I met him,
That's cool as hell.
oh my God, yeah. Like when I left WWE, I went to Impact, and Natalia, Natty Neidhart,
Yeah.
her work, yeah. She, so like her and I are friends. Like I'm her and TJ are just the best people ever. I love both of them to death. And Natty is friends with Billy. So Natty's like, hey, I'm going to give Billy your number and this and that. So Billy and I talked a little bit. I got to Impact, and the first conversation we had was like about Adonis and Piper from WrestleMania 3. And like, then he's telling me like, yes. And then when you had your pink tights, and I noticed visually it was different, the beard, like, was telling me about like the Sandow character, and like is the only person that's ever like picked out exactly what I was doing. Like, because Sandow was all about juxtaposition. I look like an axe murderer with a beard and a hair, but then I had the pink tights and I do the cartwheel, and you know, Billy understood that from an entertainment perspective. And like when I had this, it was a lengthy conversation, and I remember he walked away. I'm like, oh yeah, that was cool. And then I went like, oh wow, like yeah, that was like the dude that wrote the soundtrack to the '90s. All right.
I was gonna. Were you a Smashing Pumpkins fan before that?
Yeah, and it's been such a pleasure, you know, to work with him and to kind of have like, you know, the and it is a friendship I have with him, and which is awesome. And it's great. And Pat too, like Pat Keeney, I tell you what, like to be able to kind of have a friendship with him and just a working relationship with him in that way. it's just incredible. And to me, again, like, I'm not that I have a reputation for like don't play well with others, but again, if I'm just not into something or I'm not really feeling someone, I don't have to be their best friend.
Well, you've proven that. That's for sure.
But like those two, like just everyone in NWA, I am just so I've never been happy, or I shouldn't say never, stupid, but like
To satisfy the word?
it's been a long time since I've been actually happy. Like when I'm leaving here in a couple days to go to Atlanta, like cool, I get to pack my suitcase and then go hang out with my friends and we get to wrestle, and like it's cool, you know. It's I never ever thought I would be there again. So it's just a great thing.
Good shit,
So,
man. Yeah,
you know, really fortunate.
you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
That's true. That is absolutely true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Good shit.
Thanks.
Guys, I appreciate you guys stopping by tonight.
Yeah.
Ross, I can't thank you enough. It's been a great conversation. Anytime you guys want to do it again, I mean, you're more than welcome. I love it.
Yeah,
Russ,
it's been, yeah.
You need to plug something, right? You're the manager, so let's hang on.
Yeah, I know you got building a big following here. I got a good buddy of mine who unfortunately unexpectedly passed away a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago. So we're doing a golf tournament for him, June 26th. You know, we're taking teams of 4. And there's also sponsorships for holes. It's on Facebook. For the audience out there, if you go to my Facebook page, Ross Abdelnour, I have it up there saved.
I'll have it on my blog tomorrow. Ross is going to give me
Appreciate that,
a
man.
graphic. I'll make something up. We'll put it out there, guys. Get in.
Yeah, all proceeds, the Holy Name Connection always, is always circling. All proceeds will go to St. John's Food Bank, run by our former headmaster, Father Madden.
100%, and I'll still help Father Madden even though he threw me out. I'll come back if he
We'll
wants.
get the money and then we'll go down there and then we'll pull a heel turn on him.
No doubt, yeah, absolutely, 100%. I want a rematch. I never even got a. No, but guys, hey, thank you for stopping by, and also too, guys, go see my friend Sarah out in North Brookfield. We've been trying to do this health thing with protein shakes. I used to be fat. I'm still fat. I'm trying to get less fat. That's how, and stay energized. That's it. But I appreciate you guys. Really, man, it's been a great conversation. I appreciate you, Aaron.
Hey, this was fun.
Hey,
yeah, it was a great time.
Hey, and if Wham comes back, brother, Wham is gonna come back. The real delight.
We'll make appearance.
We're taking the real delight back. Let Billy know.
I'll pick my boots up, dust them off, and see if we can get those tights again.
You know the deal. We need the sequins, baby. Thank you, Ross. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Hey, brother,
love you, man. Miss you. Good to talk to you again. Good to catch up. We'll do this again.
Have a great night.
You too, brother.
Be safe.
You too.